So sorry, like Selahadin from Media Studies
Hi.
Department.
Hi.
So yeah, we wanted to ask you like some like friendly questions, some like simple questions.
Yeah.
So I'll start with this question. What's the first thing you do like when you wake up like in the morning?
Try to be optimistic.
Oh, great.
That's what I try to do. My yoga teacher has given me all kinds of tips, but none of them works.
Oh.
So it has to be self-build.
Yeah. Okay. What was the recent book that you have read like recently?
Recent book.
Yeah.
I'm very much into art history, so I read very kind of limited interest books. But I always read a lot of Chinese and Japanese poetry in translation. So I recently read a haiku selection and translation by Robert Haas. So there's a poem there which I will quote. One of the most beautiful poems of I think Basho. It says, "I go, you stay, 2 autumns."
Nice. Okay, like who was your favorite teacher and why?
My
When
favorite.
you were like in college?
I have two. One in school was my English language teacher because of his enthusiasm for English poetry, which I admire a lot. He could quote Shakespeare and Tennyson for hours. And one in college I had who was a professor of philosophy. His name was James Swamidasan. And he taught me to look at things logically and be rational.
Nice. So one question that I got from like one of the students like who attended your class was, if you could time travel, when would you go?
If I could time travel,
Yeah.
that's a very difficult one. I believe I have time traveled. I believe I have had previous incarnations. And I feel always when I go to a country like Japan that I must have been Japanese. But probably the time I would like to travel back to is somewhere in the early 20th century, early part of the 20th century, before mass tourism and so on, and see the beauty of countries like Austria or India or Africa before too much modernization happened. So I'd like to travel when there were enough conveniences to move around, inns and hotels to stay in, but not what has happened now, the commercialization of it. So I think 1910 to 1930, 40 would be a very nice period. The world was not virgin, but it was clean.
Okay, sir. What was your like best childhood memory? Like one of the best.
No, I had a very bad childhood. I used to have nightmares all the time. I was very temperamental. But I loved the sound of Indian kirtan, bhajans. My grandmother was very religious, and she used to take me to assemblies where people sing bhajans, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my loveliest, is my loveliest childhood memory.
Great.
And traveling with the family.
Oh.
The family summer vacations were.
So, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents like into like the film industry and everything like while you were?
No, I was very lucky. My parents, particularly my father, was a liberal and forward-looking person, so I had no problems at all. He was worried. They were always worried whether you will be able to stand on your own 2 feet or you will be a burden on them. But they more or less allowed me. Anyway, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
So they probably reconciled themselves to what we have, we have.
Oh, yeah. What's the best piece of advice you have received like so far?
I'm not very good person to advise. Now let me see. The best advice is from my present guru, B.N. Goswami, to look at things with care because they are layered. There's one layer, second layer, third, fourth. So they are very layered things. So that's very good advice, I think.
Yeah.
To look at things intently, deeply, and understand that they are layered.
So this is the last question. I'm like switches to like shorter question. So what accomplishment are you most proud of? Like
Myself,
far? Yeah.
that I've managed to stay happy.
Nice. Great. So sir, like this is one question though, like just like simple answers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also the last question. Okay, what's like your favorite movie of all time?
That's unfair. I have too many.
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Tokyo Story by Yasujiro Ozu.
Nice. Okay, who is the best producer? You think like who do you think is the best producer of all time? So far?
Producer, you mean the people who put up money?
Yeah.
Or?
No, I mean like the author production companies and everything.
Uh-huh. The various Baumberger and others, those who produce independent films.
Nice.
Yeah, there are a good lot.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Like, thank you so much.
Welcome, my pleasure.
Thank you.